Welcome to The Walking Dead with three stupid guys. All four stupid guys are here. How's it going, guys?
It's going pretty good.
Doing well.
Great.
I wonder.
Good to be back.
We'll get to the. We're going to talk about The Walking Dead, of course, but I wonder if this ending will be as good as the. We'll think this ending is as good as it was for the. Well, if you're a UNC basketball fan, you probably thought the ending of The Walking Dead was about the same as the ending to the game last night.
Right. So
yes.
Villanova fans, yeah, it's like maybe there's a proportion, right?
Yeah, because I forgot the game was on, and I came back and TV's on ESPN. I see UNC players crying. I go, oh, they must have lost. I wonder what they lost by. Then I saw how they lost. I go, oh, I'd be crying too.
Yeah,
Such
it was
a
a
good
different
finish.
it was a different kind of buzzer beater, right?
All right, Russ,
Russ, what are you doing? Are you typing again? Like,
Is that
you
a
got your
cheeseburger
nose?
wrap?
I was sorry. I was unwrapping some aluminum foil.
Well, why can't you do that before you get on the show? We talked for like 5 minutes before you can get on there. And now he's walked away.
There's Colin.
I was trying to, but I had to I had to take my allergy stuff and everything, and oh my goodness, I'm good now. We're good.
I'm glad you're good. And speaking of good, we have a new thing that you listeners can go out and enjoy. It's Loot Crate, LOOTCRATE.com/JandJack. You can go there, and each month, for $20 a month, you can sign up and get $45 worth of valuable stuff that geeks love. And this month is Quest Adventure month. It's for Harry Potter fans, Dungeons and Dragons, Vikings, Uncharted, all kinds of stuff. Again, who wouldn't want to get? Do you guys? Any of you guys do this kind of stuff? Where it's like a mystery gift each month?
Well, I will now that I heard about it.
Yeah. So, Mike, you're going to sign up for it and go to town. But my daughter does something like this. She gets something every month.
What is it again?
Loot Crate, LOOTCRATE.com/JandJack. $20 a month, you get $45 worth of valuable stuff that geeks will love.
I just signed up.
Yeah,
This is amazing.
It's a monthly subscription box service for geeks, nerds, comic book lovers, and pulp culture. Every month, subscribers receive a mystery box full of collectibles, figurines, apparel, and memorabilia.
Wait, every month I get something?
Every month for $20 a month, you get $45 worth of stuff.
I gotta say, that's a pretty good deal.
Now, I know Russ would
He's
say...
not even paid to say this either.
I know Russ will sign up when they say, hey, you'll get $45 worth of mystery food a month for $20.
Only if it's hamburgers and not kale.
I was gonna ask you, is any of it edible?
It's a mystery. Each crate is also a theme centered around a major. So that's the excitement. Each month you get something. If you want to know more, you can go on our Facebook page or go to jandjack.com and help you out. But we're here to talk about.
And wait, what's the website again?
Crate, LOOTCRATE.com/JandJack.
All right, I got it now.
Make sure you mention that Jay and Jack sent you. That's part of our deal.
Just
nice.
All right. So we're going to talk about the extended version of The Walking Dead. I told Matt before we record, I should let you have done the notes this week and not last week. It's The Last Day on Earth is the title of this episode. And we start out, Morgan finds a horse. And go from there. Anybody have any thoughts about the horse?
It's a good-looking horse.
I wonder if it could have won any of the Triple Crown.
I'm thinking no.
No.
By the way, this episode was also originally called Something to Fear. So
Really?
Yeah, something to think about.
I thought maybe it was going to be called Batter Up or something.
Spoiler. Or it could have been called...
no, spring training, like opening day of baseball started and everything. I mean, it all went together there.
It was like how they had East for Easter.
And it's perfect for our show because we do sports talk and we do Walking Dead. So it kind of
Well, I know Negan had more hits than the Padres did on opening day.
Ooh, that's rough.
Well, at least they made contact.
Just somebody. We don't know who.
But I got to be honest. This first 5 minutes.
I know Jack was sitting there hoping it was John Clayton.
Tune into our sports talk for yeah.
I never said I want John Clayton to die. But if he was up in that group, my first choice would take John. I would have said take John first.
Jack would have been volunteering him. He's good.
Hey, he's been making all these Negan jokes, man. You should pop him.
John Clayton was the one who pulled the trigger and killed all your buddies. We had nothing to do with it. We told him to stop.
He's nasty on Twitter. He's been talking crap on Twitter about you.
Have you seen him when he lets his ponytail down?
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah. Some pretty heavy metal there.
Anyway, I will say this, though. Taking the notes for the first 5 minutes of this episode was a pain in the neck because they were flashing back and forth, and Carl's talking during different scenes what's going on. I go, come on! It was for the first 5 minutes. I was an aggravated podcaster because it was difficult for me to take notes while they're switching scenes round and round. But you guys probably know because I don't know. Did anyone take notes?
What are those?
Mental notes, because it wasn't, you mentioned Morgan finding this horse, but he finds the horse after he sees the sign that says you were alive.
Yeah, I thought it was a sign for the horse.
Oh, okay.
I'm just kidding. So what do you think?
See, I did take that note.
Wasn't the maybe? I thought maybe the horse was gonna read the sign to him like Mr. Ed.
That's a cold carrot.
Is Mike old enough to remember Mr. Ed?
Hello, Wilbur.
There you go.
No. Mike's barely old enough to remember Scooby-Doo.
So, what do you think what is this? Well, you brought it up, Matt. What does the sign mean?
I think this is a sign pointing to this new group that Morgan finds.
Okay.
So right. I think this is it's kind of leading them to their this other camp, So
well,
it's
if you have a group out there and Negan's clan is all around you, would you be pointing out, say, "Hey, we're alive over here. Everything's alive. We're good."
Maybe they have a deal with Negan's group.
Oh, it could be it. All right.
No, I thought that group was part of the Hilltop group. Because it looked like the same spears that they were making. Remember, they didn't have many guns. They had a lot of those spears.
Yeah, but I'm still saying no.
Yeah, but the Hilltop never had armor. These guys had horses and armor, so I'm going to say...
They looked like they had hockey gear on.
I have a name for them when we get to there. I came up with a name for them.
Okay. We'll save the name for later.
They look like the Roman Empire.
Don't steal Jack's thunder.
It wasn't. That's not it, though.
I thought they were going to play laser tag or something.
You are getting warmer, Mike. Okay.
No, you know what? That's who they reminded me of. They reminded me of the guys dressed up in the first movie, Tron.
That's the name of the group. Thanks.
Really?
In fact, I have it here.
Ding 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 ding.
No way! Hey, that moves me to second.
No.
There we go.
There's no points in the Walking Dead podcast. That's only on our sports talk show.
Let's see if I can find it.
It's almost like you guys work together as refs or something. Like you have a chemistry. You guys think alike.
My
we
days
do.
are ruined.
You miss calls alike too.
Hey, between the four of us though, I think Jack and I blow the best whistles.
I just want to say this is going to be this is a long episode and we're only 2 seconds into it. So and Russ has already stole my thunder. I think if Morgan finds the group of Tron.
Oh, sorry, Jack. That's awesome though, but that's what it reminded me of. We think alike. We think alike.
Oh, well, I said the people of Tron say they can help Morgan and Carol. That's what I said. So thanks, Russ. I knew you guys when Mike said laser tag. I said, "Oh crap, they're gonna."
Oh man,
that's all I had. Now I just want to go home.
I like the horse to water, and I didn't know he would drink.
Well, Russ is always going to drink.
We can have Jay rewind it a little bit and delete it, and then we can go on from now like we're surprised.
Yeah, okay.
You're asking way too much of Jay.
So Roman Roman is walking through the, he's got Carol's cross, and the guy's name is Roman, so he's mentioned Roman soldier. There he goes, and we see this guy running through the woods. I'm going to call him Michael Emerson because he looks like Michael Emerson.
Okay,
you guys okay with that? I didn't bother looking up his name.
I think he's just unknown. I mean, from what I saw, it was unknown library survivor or whatever.
Okay. Well, this is where it started getting frustrated because he's running through the woods. They're whistling, and then Enid is arguing with Carl. She wants to go to the hilltop, but they're still showing the guy running through the woods. I'm like going, hey, this is complicated. The group surrounds Michael Emerson, but then Carl's still talking, and Carl goes, I'm here to protect you. I got to protect you. I got to protect you. Enid, what are you going to do? They're going back and forth. Eugene, Abraham, Sasha are going with Rick. They're taking Maggie to the hilltop because we saw last episode she was poisoned by the mystery pickles.
Yeah, I actually talked to my wife a little bit about canning, and not that I want to derail this whole podcast as it is thus far about canning, but she did.
It's a finale. Go wild.
She did kind of because she does a little bit of canning here and there, and she did kind of open up a little bit, like you can get, salmonella poisoning if you don't sterilize the jar before you can.
Right.
So I was like, thanks, you just validated my theory.
I'm still throwing that. I just don't like the fact that you can call it canning when you're putting it in a jar. It's just ridiculous.
Hey, I did a little bit of research on canning too, and it came up with the thing. It said a common thing they do in the Midwest, and I was like, okay, I'm done researching it.
Anyway, so the group survives. Eugene, Abraham are going. Eugene says he can be Rick's anchorman, so he's going to be an Anchorman 3. Is that what we're looking at here? I'll be your anchorman, Rick. I deserve to go. He's got
the hair for it.
Yeah, he does. Yeah. Eugene's. Let's see. They blame the group. Said the guy that's in charge, and his name is Survivor. That's how he's listed.
Oh.
He blames Emerson and his group for the situation he's in. We only have to kill you because you guys didn't follow the rules. So don't be blaming us. So I guess that's how they justify it. If you just would have obeyed the rules, we wouldn't have to kill you.
Yeah, I was wondering if we had seen him on the show before, or if he was just like a random new person.
Yeah, I looked it up and it said Savior, so I don't know. Anyway, so Carl tells Enid they're going back and forth, and she basically says to Carl, "Oh, you're not going out there to save Maggie. You just want to get them." And he goes, "All right." She goes, "Enid, you can go. Just go in the closet and get the pistol, but we got to make it quick." So Enid goes in the closet. Carl locks the door and puts the chair up there to block her in there. Now here's my thought.
So we now have two distracting statements for Walking Dead. Look at the flowers and go in the closet.
Right.
I guess so. But Carl didn't kill her, although she could die of starvation.
She could. I'm like going, if he doesn't come back, she's pretty much not going to make it.
Well, not only that, but what happens if the house catches on fire? Something happens. House catches on fire.
Then you have well done, Enid.
I'm here to protect you. I guess not. She goes, what am I going to do if something happens to you? Well, I guess you'll just have to survive some way else or something like that. I didn't write it down, but
I kind of like my Enid medium rare.
By the way, the whole Enid and Carl thing, I thought they were on a break, right? Like friends, like they broke up already, and then all of a sudden,
Rachel.
Yeah, and now they're back together again. And
Carl did have an eye for the copy girl.
Okay. Is that so?
Yeah.
Is that
spoiler?
So?
Spoiler for anyone who hasn't seen Friends.
But Carl used her line on her JSS, or what is it? I know it will be corrected on Twitter for this one. Just keep surviving, or just some surviving.
Yeah, something like that. And they go back to Emerson. He's getting the crap beat out of him. So it's just like an episode of Lost.
Pretty much, yeah.
Anyone think Carl needs a haircut?
Definitely.
Only if you're a dad,
Yeah,
So.
I just said, hey, dude, get a haircut. And then Aaron comes up and says, I'm going. And Rick goes, well, maybe you shouldn't go. He goes, I'm going. So he goes. And then I thought Gabriel had a great scene. He comes up to Rick and he goes, we're ready. The plan's in place. He tells them everything they're going to do, rehearse if something happens. They got all these things. And he asks Rick, are you comfortable with me in charge? And Rick says yes. So how the mighty have, last season Gabriel couldn't do anything. And now he shoots.
Yeah.
He's the new Carol.
He shoots one guy, and then all of a sudden he's in charge of the kingdom.
Right.
I did want to point out that all of these people that are like, I want on the bus, I'm getting on the bus. It seemed like everybody was kind of making their case as to like why they needed to go, but nobody was making a case of like, hey, maybe we should stay and protect.
Right, so, because you have when you have a fortress. And you're behind. You're more. Then you're out in the open. You have, But they have the problem with them right now is they've been really cocky. They've been winning all their battles. They've been.
Yes.
They just, you can see it. They've just been the whole season. They've been building up where Rick and the gang think they're just invincible.
They're kind of like the Padres in spring training. Do really well. Now it's the real season, and it's like.
Well, to be fair, the Padres didn't do really well this spring training.
Oh.
So that didn't work very well, Russ.
No.
So sorry, but no, that's what they've been showing is Rick. Rick is the whole time is he's like they're comfortable. They
they have the confidence.
They have not lost a battle. They don't lose anybody when they go into battle. They're just badasses. They can do whatever they want. Let's see. Spencer.
But it's different from how things were before. Remember when Rick would try and get them, like, we need to fight. Everyone was like, well, we don't know how. Like, we can't. And now it's like a complete 180 where everyone wants to go and no one wants to stay.
Well, I think that's what Matt's point was, though. Somebody needs to stay and protect. You have to have a home to come back to.
Well, it goes with the bad decision making they've been all making for like the last 3 episodes.
Yeah,
well, you think it's because they've been so victorious in all their victories, or they're just not thinking?
I think they're overconfident and they're underestimating what the group is. I mean, the most they've ever seen of them is like a handful of guys from the Saviors. So they're probably thinking that they're just outnumbered.
Well, this all started when they let Denise, their only doctor, go out on a mission. And it ended badly.
Right. But now we see plot-wise what that set up for this finale, right? Like the doctor was gone, so of course you got to take Maggie out and get the.
Well, let's just say this: if Negan was in charge, would he allow his only doctor to go out on a mission?
Well, looking at the size of that group, he's got like 10 doctors.
Okay. But if he only had one doctor, if Denise would have came up to him and said, "Hey, I'm going to go out there," he would have said no.
Right.
Probably not, but he probably would have also told his doctor to start training somebody else because it seems like Negan is a guy that likes to have options.
Okay.
He takes half of everything. So. And
then Spencer asks if they show up. Should we make kind of a deal with them? And then Rick says, "Tell them to wait. I'll have a deal for him." So Rick is just really cocky, really comfortable with his position. He's got that straight face. I'm God, basically. I do whatever I want.
Yeah, there's a verse in the Bible that says, "Pride cometh before a fall."
What chapter is that?
I don't know. I just remember getting told by it by my parents when I was young.
And then we have Morgan on his horse. He finds Carol. So this one, I think we could agree. Russ would probably agree that she's looked better, right, Russ?
Yeah, she's had better days. She's looked like she just rolled out of the Midwest.
Okay, and then we come up back, and they're dragging Emerson. They drop him on the road. They have a card blockade on there, and they're gonna make a example of him. And he's an example of my people are, but he's basically saying I'm the only one left. And then Rick and the gang are taking Maggie to Hilltop, and they take off. Then we go to the theme song. Rick talks with Maggie, tells Maggie that Doctor at Hilltop will make things better.
Did you say Dr. Hilltop?
I said the Doctor at Hilltop will make things better.
Oh, at Hilltop.
At Hilltop.
Sorry. Dr. Hilltop sounds like a cool name. Paging Dr. Hilltop.
Well, maybe that's what we can call him, Dr. Hilltop.
Dr. Hilltop.
And we got Morgan is patching up Carol. Morgan tells her she's going to need some stitches and antibiotics, and Carol goes, let's just leave. Let me die. Leave me alone.
I went off this show.
Yeah. Morgan goes, I can't do that.
But I went off the show.
And then Carol tells Morgan, I'm not going back. I'm not going back. You can't make me. I'm not going to go back. Then we go back to Rick and the gang, and Abraham says, what the bitch? And Rick says, and then of course Rick says, Rick, starting a new streak. What? He did.
He said what? Totally. I marked that down. I took that down in my notes, Jack. I said, Rick said,
if only he would have said that in the last episode, we'd have had a 4-episode streak of him saying what 4 times in a row.
He would have been the Villanova of Walking Dead.
He would have. The group gets out and they talk to the leader, the savior guy, and they're doing the blockade. And Rick says, "We can make a deal." And dude says, "We want your stuff, but we're gonna need to kill somebody." That's just how we do things. So Rick goes, "I don't think we're gonna do that deal." And then Rick said, "How about?"
I think Rick looked in. I think that's where he looked in the RV and he was like, "No, John Clayton. No, can't do it."
Can't do it. But Rick says no. But Rick says, "I make a deal with you. We'll take your stuff, but I won't kill anybody." Now here's where I was. Have anyone seen the movie Stripes?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone seen? Mike, have you seen Stripes?
I've seen parts.
Come on. Anyway, they had an RV that was a killing machine. If you kept taking your RV on missions, wouldn't you have the thing more apt, more like I said, have a couple snipers on? I was thinking I'd have something on top where you have like something where the people are on top, where you have snipers on top of the RV riding on the outside. It would be a war machine. You're at war.
Yeah. If you had the A-Team working on this RV, there would be a gun turret on top that B.A. Baracus would pop out and just take those guys down.
You know what? That's their problem at Alexandria. They need like a MacGyver.
They just need someone smart.
I think that's Morgan. Morgan's their MacGyver. He built the jail. He's, he built all their traps with, he's a whittler.
He has a cool
Zen master.
He has a cool stick.
Eugene wants to build bullets, so I mean, they've got Eugene and they got MacGyver and MacGyver Jr. there.
I would have the inside of it would be enforced so the bullets can't go through the little cheap RV stuff. I mean, I just don't understand. The whole time I'm thinking, why haven't they built this RV up more to be like a tank type thing? Maybe they haven't seen the movie Stripes. Maybe they're like Mike and they're like going, "Oh, it's just an RV."
I kept thinking, why isn't this group?
I think all they have is concrete blocks. That's the only thing they have.
Well, they have this steel fence all the way around the perimeter.
Yeah, well, it would add to gas.
They used it all for Carol's car.
And more weight, though, it takes away the gas mileage. So, there's that. But here's the thing, though. I kept thinking, okay, they've got the machine guns, like. They pointed at the the gas truck, at the beginning of this half season.
Right.
They didn't let them leave. They basically said, "Hey, we've got the guns pointed on you. Come out. We got you."
Right.
So they kind of let them get away, and they just kind of slowly crept back. And I kept thinking, how embarrassing would it be for Abraham if he kept trying to back it up and try to reverse the truck on the road there, Austin Powers style.
Yeah.
Can't get this quite turned around.
I'm going back. I just think that maybe I was thinking too much, but to me, you have those big old windows. It's just a huge target for people to fire. I'd have the windows smaller. I mean, you're at war.
Right.
Make it a war.
I mean, why not shoot Abraham the driver and just be like, now we'll talk.
Yeah, now we'll talk.
We shot one of your people. Now we'll talk.
And then one of the dudes takes out some spray and then sprays Emerson laying on the ground there. What was he? Anybody know what he's spraying? Was it mosquito repellent? Bug spray? Was it paint?
Skrillex like spray paint.
My wife, my wife is asking me, and I go, I don't know. They didn't talk about it. He just gets out and he sprays him, and I'm like going, okay, that's supposed. And the guy's not even moving at that point. Anyway, and so Rick says, we're gonna leave. We're going back, and then they have a nice friendly talk, and the guy tells Rick, all right, friend, have your ways to get where you're. And then he goes, there's plenty of ways to get where you're going. So right then, Rick should have said, all right, they know where we're going. Right? Anybody?
Maybe. I guess so. Yeah. I mean, they know that they're headed to the hilltop. I would assume, right?
Right. Well, he says plenty of ways to get where you're going.
Right.
Well, you also left out the part where appreciate everyone there. This might be the last time you see them.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, yeah. Last day on Earth, the titular line.
Yeah, it was a long episodes. I took my liberties with some of the. A lot of talking in this episode. A lot of dialogue.
What about this guy's mustache? I mean, he's really rocking the stash. He's got, like the
Billy Bob
the
Thornton
70s
mustache.
Yeah, he's ready for the baseball game later.
Then, as they're driving away, you see Abraham's face in the rearview mirror, and the guy kicks Emerson laying on the ground. And did it look? Anyone think that it looked like Abraham wanted to go out and help the guy? That it was just ticking Abraham off that they were retreating. Anybody?
Yeah.
Okay.
No. Well, I think at least we get some sympathy from this group about this guy.
Yeah.
There's some humanity with this group because, I know there's another scene coming up again later where the group kind of sympathizes with this man's plight.
Right.
So.
But you think it's because they're not used to retreating? I mean, for the last few episodes, they're all on offense, not defense.
Right.
This episode, Rick is like, we're going to pull back. Now, was he pulling back because they had Maggie in there and they had to get her to the hospital and they had to get her to the hilltop for the doctor? What was their mindset?
And the numbers disadvantage 5 versus 17 or something.
Well, that was later on. Yeah. At this point, there's only like 6 or 7 of them. And again, if you had the RV set up to be a killing machine and you had 2 people up on top, you're not going to lose that battle. Just saying, Rick.
Sure.
Start listening.
Hey, I like your idea of putting the metal on the sides, and then you ram in there, and you've got turrets on the side. You can mow down people.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
it was just kind of every time they encountered the group at some kind of roadblock, it was like the numbers kept increasing and increasing, right?
Well, that was part of the game.
Yeah.
The long, drawn-out game.
90 minutes. You know what? You got to give it to Abraham. He's got those 3-point turns down pretty good.
He does.
Not as Mike. It's not as long as most baseball games. So still under.
That's why I stopped watching baseball.
Well, it all depends on how many hits you have, right?
We'll count those at the end.
Yeah,
and then we had Carl. He's talking to Aaron. He goes, "Why didn't you stay back and help guard the place?" And he says, "I owe her." And then Aaron asked Carl, "Why didn't you stay?" And he goes, "I owe them." Is he talking about the people, the saviors?
What's Carl owe the saviors? Like the saviors haven't hurt Carl, have they? Directly?
He's got an eye on them. I'm just saying.
He does have their gun, so.
True.
Was he saying that, or was he saying his dad and Sasha and Abraham? Was he talking about them? I didn't get that part.
Yeah.
And it was too long of an episode. I wouldn't go back and. I was hoping one of the 3 stupid guys, other than me.
So the thing that I thought about was I thought maybe that was the gun that what's his name used to shoot his eye out.
Sure. We kind of talked about that.
And the gun
last episode.
It was a BB gun from Christmas Carol.
Yeah, and the gun is
Red Rocket.
And so maybe that's why he said it, because if they never found that gun, he would have probably never shot his eye out.
Okay. All right.
That's good stuff for us.
That's the best we come up with, so we'll go with it, Russ.
And just to kind of to add to that, Russ, this was something that came out later on our Facebook thread, which you can always join in on Jade and Jack on the Facebook group. But it came up after the fact that this thing that's carved on the handle is the baseball bat with the barbed wire. We could never figure it out because A, we're stupid guys, and B,
we didn't read the comic books.
well, B, I'm going to stick by this. Not well drawn out. It's not a great graphic. It does not convey that that's exactly what that is a baseball bat with barbed wire.
Are you saying one of us? Are you saying one of us on the Stupid Guys is an artist?
I'm just saying that the design of it does not come across very fast and easy. And I paused it and I looked at it, and I even am familiar with the comic to a certain extent as far as like what was going to happen with a baseball bat named Lucille.
So,
however,
as an artist, you're saying it was not well done.
It was lazy drawing. Lazy drawing.
There you go, Mike.
I stick by that, Scott. I stick by it.
I didn't know what it was. I looked at it, I go, I don't know what it is.
So basically what Matt is saying is that the handle was basically like the stick figure version of what we would draw.
Yeah, maybe. I just glad that CJ has my back, and apparently CJ, a big fan of our show. So kudos to CJ. Glad that you enjoy the Three Stupid Guys. So
even Carrie Ann said like the show. So there were two people that said it's becoming one of their favorite shows.
Yeah. Thanks. We appreciate the fans that actually give us feedback that say you like it. All the ones that don't like it, I just don't. I just look past.
Yeah, I ignore them. So then they decide they got a new route. They find it, and Eugene's saying, basically blah blah blah. Anyway, I didn't write it down. Morgan. So we got back to Morgan and Carol. They're talking, and he goes, Rick came looking for you too. And people care about you, Carol. They, Daryl would have come too, but he left already. He left before you left. So she goes, he left? Yeah, he left, but. Yeah, he was upset about something, and she kind of looked concerned that Daryl had left.
Sure. I thought that would have been a good point for them to write in there, like Rick has the what, and I think they should get Carol saying what, like that. Add a little bit of fluctuation to the what's it? Yeah. See?
Okay. We'll say that if she survives, we'll use that for season 7.
So Carol,
I think what they need to do is they need to award somebody like a fan to write out one of the episodes. And I think we should do it.
Okay.
Okay. I do agree that it might be a little bit better than some of the writers, but with some of their decision making, we'll just say that much. But okay.
All right.
Sure.
And then we have Morgan tells her they're going back and forth, and Morgan goes, I can't let you die. I can't let you die. I can't let you die. I'm being dramatic, but Morgan never gets he doesn't really get emotional. He has the same level, so to speak. You guys notice that? I can't let you die, Carol. And then we go back to the group, bitch nuts. I mean, Abraham said some great lines here. Bitch, I've never used the phrase bitch nuts. Anybody?
I think I may have. Go ahead.
They had a little extra stand on the Talking Dead about how they come up with the random phrases that Abraham and Eugene.
Yeah, I thought that was awesome.
So I think
we throw it down the wall. We have one curse word and we have another one, and we just put them together, and that's it.
Bitch nuts. I've had corn nuts. I've had.
No, they said they write different names on like two sets or a set of dice. And then they roll the dice, and whatever the two names are, that's what they say.
Oh, so that's how they came up with the ending.
Yeah.
This is how I thought they came up with the curse words, the color. I thought they just went to like some middle school and just hung around a bunch of boys, that are in middle school, like 12, 13, at recess.
Or listen to our podcast once we go off air.
I seriously never heard the term bitch nuts. I've been around for a long time. Never heard it.
I could have swore Russ said that last week after the show went off the air.
You know what bitch nuts are? If you ever have been behind a truck and they have those like balls kind of hanging behind the truck, that's what those are.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because only if someone that actually decides, hey, I need to put balls on my truck.
I thought they were bull nuts, but I guess bitch nuts works too.
It works.
They're a big seller. Big seller in Indianapolis.
Is that what you learned from your recent trip out to the Midwest, there, Matt?
I haven't taken any trips to the Midwest because I'm right in the thick of it.
He's right in the middle of the Midwest. Anyway, so
Peyton Manning, a huge fan of bitch nuts.
Yeah.
Bitch nut, my
big old blue ones.
Like a wounded duck. They come up with another group. Carl wants to make a stand, but Rick says no. And actually, Rick, he made sense because they're ready for us. They're prepared. We don't know the situation. So actually, Rick is finally thinking level-headed at this point. And the guy shoots his gun in the air a few times. Now you think he's signaling other people, hey, they're retreating?
Maybe. That's good.
Get to the next road, block it off. They're coming back. They're going to come your way.
It's also showing off how cocky they are. Like, they can just waste bullets like that. Like, yeah, we got so much ammo and ammunition.
Yes.
And
well, we have a guy named Eugene, too, and he's already building us bullets, so... Anyway.
Well, he hasn't quite yet, but I do like that you brought that up, Mike. It is a show of power. It's a it's a lion roar. Like, hey, we got this.
So Morgan leaves. He goes outside, and there's a walk. I call him the swinging walker. And he goes up there, and it doesn't look like he's recently been. He hasn't been dead long.
No, he hasn't. He's fresh.
Now, you think the Savior's the one that hung him, or?
If you look up in the notes, his name was Chad.
Chad? Oh, so this guy had a name, but the guy that did most of the talking, his name was Savior.
Right.
That's why he was a hanging Chad.
Hanging Chad.
Only for somebody from Florida.
Yeah. That's a good one, Mike. It took you 8 weeks, but you came up with a good one. Okay.
He took notes.
Earning my keep. Claimed.
A hanging Chad. You had me going there. So anyway. So hanging Chad, he cuts him down, and then Morgan returns and finds that Carol has left. Morgan gets on his horse.
Now, just to be clear, sorry, Jack. They were holed up in this library, right?
Right.
Which is where this guy came from. So this library group, whoever these people were part of some other group that I'm sure Negan's guys had kind of claimed, right? And they didn't go against the rules or whatever, and they wiped them all out.
And that's why Chad was hanging.
That's why Chad was hanging, exactly.
Now, you think the reason Negan got mad because they were a library group, and every time Negan talked, they went shh. And you can only do that once. The second time, you're going to Lucille. So I think he was shushing him, and you don't shush, you don't tell Negan. See, Morgan gets on his horse, blah 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 blah. And then they're talking. They're talking in the motorhome. They have a half tank of gas. Sasha points out that all the men, they weren't the same men at the last stop. They're different men. So now they're figuring out this guy has a lot of men. Would you agree?
Yeah. And a lot of guns.
And a lot of guns. It comes to the next thing. You see a chain of walkers, and Rick says, Abraham goes, wants to run. No, we can't risk hurting the RV. Now, if the RV was equipped with something in the front that could go through, am I right? Like a battering ram, you wouldn't have to get out. You just plow through the walkers.
Right.
So, again, if you had Jack with the group saying, hey, we need to build this.
Yeah, the battering, like a cattle, like what they put on old, trains, the cattle kind of thing,
Go right through it.
Yeah. But Rick comes up with something pretty inventive, right? He just hacks it off, right? And
he just gets an axe out, and they get out. I like Eugene's line. Where am I? I've lost my place here. Eugene says, "Red Rover, like this takes a lot of people, So now Eugene's understanding that this group is big, because to get the walkers like they did Red Rover style, takes a lot of people. And Carl's will notice that Michonne and then Sasha knows that Daryl's some of their stuff is on some of the walkers, which
this starts to really
really
freaks Rick out.
I thought they made the walkers look like they were their people.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's Arts and Crafts Week in the Saviors.
You gotta have something to do. Keep yourself occupied.
Yeah.
And just for the record, I think it was one that was like on the right-hand side, had this huge forehead. I was like Peyton Manning.
How did you get down here in the South? I thought you were a Denver native.
Well, he's
Yeah, he's retired. Well, I just wanted to. Oh, you're getting to the gun part, right?
Yeah. Well, Rick's about to get his little axe out, and he's about ready to chop, and then it gets hit. They get fired upon. They're firing back, shooting back and forth. But then Rick cuts the walkers. He just starts chopping them through, and they go on their way. They get through the walkers. Obviously, this group is letting them go. And you were saying, Matt?
Oh, just this threat of shooting at them but not shooting them. I understand the fans that were upset by there's too many roadblocks. At this point it's like, well, they really are toying with them, because really, if you wanted Negan to take the group, you had them stopped right there, shoot out the tires, and then they're really trapped.
Well,
right?
here's what I'm gonna disagree with the people that were complaining. Rick's group has proved that they can be pretty resourceful. That they've survived this long. They've been successful in a lot of battles. And Negan even says at the end, we put a lot of expense into showing you what we have. So I think he was trying to. At the end, he was just basically breaking them down.
Right.
So
that's a good point.
He could have taken Rick, and they could have, but it wouldn't have been as dramatic. I had no problem with this. I had no problem with this whatsoever.
Right.
I know some people do, and if you did, I have no issues with it. But I had no problem with it, because it was more about breaking them down. You gotta. Well,
I think it's that too, and I think they had to show the viewers that this Negan guy is not a guy that's just gonna go away, right away. That this guy is pretty smart. They've got a lot of
resources,
and they got a lot of people, and this is something that the group has never faced before. Like, this is like, the governor squared, kind of thing.
Well, and they know how to whistle.
True.
Yeah.
You got to fear any group.
No, I'm glad you brought this up, Russ, as far as the governor, because I was thinking about this today, just in preparation for the podcast, and thinking about, how focused you were on the governor for so long, and rightly so. I mean, it seems like the governor was like an adversary that had resources. He had a town, but not as many people that were well equipped to deal fear in the way that we're seeing Negan deliver fear. So. Right,
like like, this guy is not someone to fool around with now, whereas, the governor, you could, I think Rick always knew that they were going to get the better of him. It was just a matter of when. But this guy is like, he means business. If he can, it's kind of like, how you have like a rat in one of those traps and you keep putting down like different walls, and, all the rat's trying to do is find the cheese, right? Like, they're basically trying to, find the hilltop group so they can, and that's all they're focused on. And these guys were like cornering them off, trying to get them in, into the spot that they wanted them.
Right. And I think that's what they were trying to break him.
Yeah. Sure.
Anyway, so I had no problem with. So then we had. Go ahead.
One little issue thing, like, now they're cornered, and they're so precise that they can shoot at the feet. Like, that's how good they are. That they could, like, hoard them back into the RV. Where we had a previous week or two where they were trying to kill Daryl and Denise, and he aimed for Daryl and shot Denise in the eye instead. And then they were trying to fight with them, and they couldn't hit a single person. But their accuracy's got much better in the week or two.
Well, it's those guys were just like the C team. They got the A team. Negan has the A team on the group now. They put a lot of expensive,
much better shooters.
Remember, because Negan even says you killed a lot of my guys, and that's not cool.
And
Dwight had just dealt with the issue of he had a bite, so his accuracy was a little off.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Well, Dwight, because one thing that Jack hasn't mentioned, and no fault of his own, because it's kind of a throwaway thing.
Thanks, Matt, for calling me out.
Is this scene that we keep getting interspersed every now and then, which is like, lights coming through the darkness and this kind of hazy, like someone's trapped somewhere, and we don't know if this is future, past, present. We don't know what's going on. But it's very briefly, and it's revealed obviously at the end. But not that you had to bring it up, because it is kind of throwaway, and I don't feel like, it builds somewhat of a tension, but
yeah, I saw it, but I said, well, I figured Matt would bring it up.
Okay.
So Rick says he tells the group they want us to go in this direction. Way to go, Rick. No, nothing gets by you. But then Aaron tells Rick Maggie is burning up. So then they go down the road, and there's a larger group blocking the road. Rick says go back. Abraham says where. So I think Abraham knows that at this point he knows they're toast. Eventually they're going to have to do something, and whatever they're doing is not working. The whole retreating thing is not great. So then we go back to Carol and Morgan, and we find out that wounded Carol is faster than a horse. Am I right?
She's determined.
Because I don't know if Morgan was taking breaks every now and then, but how was he not able to catch Carol before everything happened? Because Morgan sees that Carol's cross, the dead guy. Then Carol is caught by Roman.
It was technically his first time that he'd ever ridden a horse, so
he was pretty good. He was pretty good at it.
He was milking it.
Okay.
Maybe he just had to exhaust all of his options. Like, well, I'm gonna go this way. Maybe nope, she's not over there. I'm gonna go this way. Nope, she's not over there. Oh, I found the cross. One thing that I'll point out is that the logo or the poster for this half season features Carol holding the cross. It's very subtle, and I remember when I saw it at the beginning of the season, I thought, why do they have this rosary and this hand holding the rosary? So all in all, I liked the payoff of the rosary, even though we had this Roman crazed guy at the end. But I liked how it played into the poster. Like there was a little bit of a clue, as Lost would do with posters and what have you.
I forgot to mention too, before Carol gets tackled by Roman, she comes across a walker in a dumpster with the door wide open, and I guess the walker couldn't figure out how to get out of the dumpster. And then she closes the door, but then she gets attacked by a walker, and she's pulling on the walker's hair and what's left of it, and you see the head's kind of falling apart. And she's, for someone that wants to die, Carol's putting up quite a fight.
I thought that was a cool scene though, like cool special effects of the face slowly melting off.
Yeah, it kind of, I don't know, Mike, you probably didn't have this when you were a kid, but Jack and I remember it was kind of like Stretch Armstrong.
Oh yeah.
That was still they're still selling that.
Are they still selling Stretch Armstrong?
Yeah, because I remember my little brother had that, and he was 5 years younger than I was. So.
There's no way kids are playing with Stretch Armstrong today with all the computer.
Sure, it's a name, it's a brand. It's like Slinky. It'll never die, right?
Slinky is such a wonderful.
As long as somebody owns the copyright, it's going to be out there.
It's fun for a girl and a boy. It's fun for a girl and a boy.
Slinky, Stretch Armstrong, Jay and Jack. The name will never die.
Never die.
Not my Matt Pot theory of the week, but I think that these two walkers are boyfriend and girlfriend, and she was just coming around like, "What are you doing to my boyfriend? He was searching through the trash."
That would have been classic. A walker would.
A walker would.
I think a walker would say what? Yeah.
Wouldn't it be better if he's just looking for Glenn?
Oh, nice.
Would that have been better?
Yeah,
sure,
you know what? That probably would have been a good time to be like, did you look under the dumpster?
What? All right. Anyway, Roman tells her, you're going to lie there, and I'm gonna watch you die. And he shoots her in the arm.
Yep.
So then we go back to Rick. He's talking with Maggie. And then we go back to Carol and this Roman guy, and he shoots her in the leg this time, and then he starts to smile. He goes, "Why are you smiling?" Well, first before that, she says, "Why are you smiling?" She goes, "I'm gonna die. It's okay." You know, you think she was trying to get him to kill her?
Yeah.
I think she was ready. Yeah. I mean, she's in a lot of pain. You know, it's like, why not finish me off? Like, what does it matter at this point?
What was her husband's name? Anybody remember that guy?
Come on now, 3 super guys.
Yeah. Now she was abused. You know, she was abused. Do you think this is how she dealt with her husband beating her?
Wow.
By taking bullets in the arm.
No, not bullets, but just how she just would kind of just conform and just. I mean, I don't know. I mean, just how she just kind of took it and. I mean, because she just kind of. It looked like something she had done before. Like it wasn't. She's a great actress. So I'm just saying it seemed natural what she was doing. And my first thought was that's what her husband probably did to her. Would yell at her and then hit her.
I think she was hoping that someone would shoot her from the grassy knoll.
I think his name was Walt Walt.
I'm actually being serious here because the guy was verbally abusing her. You know, she's got some bruises. I mean, she looks beat up, and the guy was. I don't know, nothing, nobody.
His name was Ed.
Ed.
Ed Pelletier. Pelletier.
It wasn't Ed the mailman, was it?
No. Anyway, that was my thought. That's what Carol probably had to deal with Ed the Dick. So Morgan then Morgan shows up, tells the guy you can live through this, you can put down your gun, and then he doesn't know the guy's gonna die anyway, right?
Well, there's also one little line before that where the guy goes, "Do you think you suffer enough?" And Carol is like, "No, not yet."
Yeah. So maybe that goes back to throw up how did she deal with Ed? Right? Someone backed me up on this. I thought that was pretty.
Beep, beep. You get more back on the Game of Thrones podcast. This is 3 super guys.
So then Morgan shoots him 80 times, kills him.
Right.
And this is
this is the you know the culmination of the Morgan Carol storyline that we've dealt with all season long, the whole season. You know, not just this half season, but from the very beginning of season 6, we've dealt with this Carol Morgan dilemma about death and killing people, and Morgan finally steps into the realization that he has to kill in order to save her life.
Right, and they talked about that. They talked about that's why Carol didn't want to be with the group anymore. She didn't want to have to kill to save people she cared about.
Yeah, so now they basically swap roles where Carol is the one not wanting to kill, and Morgan is the one who's like, you got to kill to live.
And that's why Carol.
Well, I don't think he's come full circle about that, but I think that he's finally come to a conclusion that there are moments.
Well, you know what?
There's a little bit of a concession there.
I think he's come full circle because he would have never accepted the gun from Rick to begin with.
Ah, good point, Russ. See, I back people up when they make a good point.
I completely disagree.
Good enough to be second in line?
No, but Mike, you were going to say something.
Damn it. Bitch nuts.
Yeah, just move on.
Okay. So then we have the people of Tron say they can help Morgan and Carol. There you go. The people of Tron can help Morgan and Carol.
And they gave them a solid handshake and looked each other in the eye.
Yeah.
That's how you know they're good people.
And the actor.
They said, we saw what she did.
The actor of Tron just followed Jay and Jack. So.
Oh.
So.
Welcome to the show next year in October.
There you go. So the people of Tron have followed us.
Sorry, Nico. We'll be bumping you for this guy.
Yeah, Nico. Yeah, I thought about calling Nico today, but he was probably stuck in traffic.
Just make sure Matt doesn't lose his favorite there, and we're okay.
Yeah. That'll be a sports season. So Rick and the gang come up on a bunch of trees, logs blocking the road, and Eugene points out that they must have some big toys to sell the tracks. They must have some big toys because people are saying, how could they put all those logs on the road? But Eugene points out that they have there's a lot of tracks, and they must have some big toys to be able to do something like that.
You know, I was fully expecting Eugene to make a comment of, so if a tree falls down in the forest and no one's around, does it make a sound?
Well, it doesn't.
Yeah, I guess not.
No. Anyway, so they all get out of the car. They're under a bridge, and then they hang Michael Emerson. They just throw him off the bridge, and they're all. And Aaron goes, "Oh, I can break the chain with a gun." He goes, and I want someone to say it's just not going to work. You're not Clint Eastwood and Good and the Bad, the Ugly. It's not going to work. Plus, Rick did say you can't waste. Because basically he was going to die anyway.
Jack Bauer in 24 could have done it.
Which season? So then they light the trees on fire. They back up. And then Eugene says, "I can't read what I wrote." He goes, "He says they're
Walt.
Oh, he says Eugene says he says something about the rust bucket, talking about the thing, and he says Eugene is going to take the RV on his own. So anybody think this is a good plan?
It was better than driving around everywhere where they knew where they were going.
Right.
With this big RV.
Okay. Now, before you continue any further, Jack, I just want to make one other point. Is that at some point in this whole escapade of roadblocks and terror, the terror that is the RV survival group, Abraham makes this proposal to Sasha, like, "Hey, we got this pregnant lady back here dying. You want to have kids?"
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Right? Like, I just thought that was okay. And at this point, when Abraham makes this profession of love or whatever, it's getting kind of towards dusk, or I don't know, it seems kind of wistful and the sun's setting or whatever. I kept thinking,
he did say, "I like biscuit."
Oh. Yeah, he's like, "I'm ready to make the batter if you're ready to pour the pancakes." I kept thinking, oh, Abraham's gonna die. Like, he's come to this point where he's like ready to live his life and like he's giving himself over. I kept thinking, oh, Abraham's gonna die.
Who says he didn't?
Anyway.
Well, we don't know.
All right. But anyway, I needed to make that point that only when you're traveling around with a sick pregnant woman do you make these decisions to have children in an apocalyptic situation. So nothing says romance like.
That's good. I did forget to write that down, but I do remember the scene.
Okay.
You got Rick and Eugene talking about the plan. He goes, just keep driving. Just keep driving. Just keep driving. Because the plan is for them, they'll think they're tracking the RV, but Rick and the gang will sneak out. Eugene gives him the plans to make bullets, the recipe to make bullets, and he says Abraham knows the location. He says, "Thanks, Eugene." He kind of taps him on the shoulder, walks up. Abraham comes up, and they have quite the little saying and the little talk there, and they hug, which I thought was nice.
I was a little sad at that. I thought that was a very emotional, moving scene.
It was, but it would have been more emotional if they just would have killed off Eugene at that point, right? I thought this was Eugene was going to die at this point.
Yeah, and the music has a really kind of ominous tone here for Eugene, as far as like you kind of think that this might be it. Eugene says, why didn't you ever let me drive the truck? He makes this comment to Abraham, and it's like, well, you shot the truck. You acted like an incompetent boob at times. Like, why would Abraham ever let you drive the truck?
Well, didn't he say I didn't think you could drive?
Right. Yeah. And can you drive the stick?
And that would have been a perfect time for Eugene to say, "Well, I sure as hell know I can drive it better than Daryl."
But how would he know that Daryl can't drive a truck?
Yeah, I know. Well, maybe he read the script or something. I don't know.
Maybe too soon. Let's see.
Yeah.
So they're walking through the woods. They have a walker who has a branch stuck in his gut, and Carl just chops his head off. And Carl's talking, and I'm thinking, I know they're going to get trapped anyway, but if I'm going through the woods, keep quiet. Right?
Yeah.
Don't.
Did we learn nothing from Glenn?
Right. You're trying to sneak through the woods on notice, and you're talking. But anyway, Carl is talking to Rick. Carl says he's not going to let what happened to Denise happen to any of you guys. And then you start hearing whistling. So, way to go, Carl. Wrong again. So Rick goes, run! They're surrounded in the middle. They're all whistling. But did you notice there wasn't one single woman in the group the whole time? All day long. Not one single female.
They're back at the ranch making pancakes.
They probably are, making biscuit.
But, there was that one group of women that Carol, and Maggie had to deal with.
Yeah.
So that was all of the women of their group, basically.
I'm just saying there wasn't one single woman at any of the blockades or in the circle. Not one. So I'm not saying Negan is a chauvinist, but maybe he is. Then you have the survivor guy says, good, you got to where you were going. We're going to take your weapons. So they take their weapons, and then he tells them they need to get on their knees, and they of course, they want to help Carol. We got this. We can help Carol get on her knees. We can help Maggie get on her knees. Yeah. And Eugene, we find out Eugene has been caught. We see him there. The RB's there. Rick finally gets down. Yeah, he's bloody. He's been belted a few times. Obviously, he didn't get too far. They must have been right there when he drove off, and they just grabbed him. Rick gets down on his knees, and then they drag out Michonne. Then the whole thing with the lights, the bullet hole thing.
Yes, finally comes to a resolution here. What the doorway lights were from.
You waited 85 minutes to find out that Daryl's not dead. He didn't get killed last episode.
No,
it's a bullet wound that he barely notices. He's fine.
Well, he's bleeding. He's got a blanket on him. He's got the blanket covering the wounds.
Yeah.
So it's Glenn, Daryl, and Rosita, and then Glenn just, Maggie! And then, Glenn, Daryl. Which is, you never, if someone's going to kill one person, never let them know you're a couple.
Right.
Well, Glenn was just freaking out because he saw the haircut. He's like, why didn't you tell me you're going to cut your hair?
That's horrible. No wonder you need a doctor. And then Survivor says, it's time to meet the man. And then Negan has arrived. And I'm gonna agree with the people that have been saying the first two lines Negan says are probably the stupidest things I've ever heard. He asks if they've pissed their pants yet, and then he says it's PP Pants City. I go, really? This is the guy we're supposed to fear, and he's saying PP Pants City.
Well, apparently in the comic book he likes to use a little more F words.
Okay, but I get it, but it's PP Pants City is the tough. This is from a tough guy. Now, I personally if I'm there, I probably would have laughed. PP Pants City. This is the tough guy. Anyway.
Yeah. And I would have been like, hey, no, we have bitch nuts here, okay?
But I do like after this, it did pick up steam, and we did start to hate Negan. But before that, I'm like,
yes.
Really? Who wrote this line? Then he goes, he wants to know who the leader is, and then he tells Rick, and he found out it's Rick. He doesn't appreciate you killing my man. And Negan tells Rick, you don't mess with the New World Order. Like, we got to fall in line. He goes, this is how it works. You give me your stuff, or I will kill you.
Half of your stuff.
Well, he said, give me your stuff and I will kill you. Then he tells them,
okay,
you work for me now. Like I said, you give half of your stuff. I don't care what you have to do. You have to go out and steal more stuff. You're still going to give me half of the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He even says, I don't plant gardens. So basically, he doesn't do any work.
Yeah, I like this.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, I just like the callback, when he says, I don't plant gardens. I like the fact that it calls back to when Rick was planting the garden.
Right. Yeah, good point.
So...
But he said he's going to beat the holy hell out of one of you, and then he pulls out his bat, and his bat's named Lucille. Anyone a friend has a little barbed wire around it.
It looked more like a Louisville to me, but.
But why do you need barbed wire around a bat? To just make it look more.
I kind of. I think that kind of I don't know if any of you guys are religious or anything, but like, you know, it kind of reminded me of the crown of thorns. You know, they're the saviors, crown of thorns.
Wow.
You know,
Russ has brought
look at you, Russ. Yeah, you're bringing the Bible game tonight.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, you know, that's what it reminded me of. They are called the saviors for a reason.
I just had to add his music. I don't feel like Jay's gonna go and post show and add any music to our show.
Well, he probably won't.
No, that's great.
He's like,
nice.
Walking Dead. You guys have a Walking Dead podcast? Really?
And then he's just walking around with the bat. Go ahead.
Oh, I just was going to say Lucille by Little Richard for those and that wanted to know. And I kept thinking that he named the bat Lucille because B.B. King named his guitar Lucille. So several musical references there. So that's all. That's all I got.
And then we got Abraham. That he's going around. He's walking around. Who's it going to be? And Abraham kind of steps up and puts his chest out like, "Pick me."
Yeah.
And I thought that time he was going to take him, but you probably don't take a guy like Abraham because if you've had him broken, you want strong people, right?
But I say yes. That's one of my 2 picks.
I say he's going to kill the weakest, what he considers the weakest.
Old One-Eye Willie over there.
One-Eye Willie.
With his sheriff hat.
Then he talks to Carl. And he goes, "Oh, you have one of our guns, the one with the barbed wire on it that Matt couldn't figure out the week before."
Oh, don't blame it on me, huh?
Then he tells Carl, "Lighten up, at least cry a little." And Carl's not crying.
He's not batting.
Doesn't
he's
he
not
say
batting
chicken?
an eye.
What?
He's not batting an eye.
He's not batting. I know he's not.
I thought Carl said chicken at this point. Like he says something to him.
Does he say
I don't know.
something?
Maybe.
Russ thought he said hamburger.
I thought. You want chicken or hamburger?
Then he looks at Maggie and says, "You look like crap." He used another word, but I'm not going to use it. He says, "Looks like crap," and then Glenn goes after him. And he gets dragged back. He gets dragged back and says, "Yeah, don't ever do that again. That's one time. You're given one."
That's your freebie.
That's your freebie. Then he figures out that Carl's Rick's son.
Ooh.
And then he turns to Rick. He goes, "Don't make me kill the future serial killer."
Yeah.
I thought it was a
nice
good
little
line.
shout out to
Yeah.
I thought it was a shout out to the fans because like we've always kind of felt that Carl was a serial killer in the making.
Right. So I think that was a little shout out to the fans. And they go. Didn't he say too? He goes eeny meeny miny mo. He's going through the thing. Then he says something about if any of them move, rip out the other boy's eye and give it to the dad. Cut out the other. Yeah.
Feed it.
Feed it to his dad. And then he takes his bat and he clobbers someone. He goes, "Oh, you're taking it. You're taking this
like a champ."
Like a champ. And then he hits him a few more times. Crunch, 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 and it fades to black. Well, there's blood. Fades to black and
POV.
And boo.
And that's it. So this is where the internet, and I watched it live because actually I was watching it and then I got caught up, so I'd go watch Better Call Saul. I was watching 2 shows at once. So I'd stop it and go back and forth. This is where the internet blew up, and I'll go down the line here, and we'll start with Matt. Matt, what did you think of this final episode for this season 6 of The Walking Dead?
Well, I'm not going to be a champion of this episode, but I will say that I did enjoy it. I watched it straight through without commercials, as I usually do, which helps because things don't drag on. Like, why are we going to the 5th roadblock in a row? So some of those things just kind of fall to the wayside. I did say right before this aired, I posted on the Jay and Jack group. I said, "Who's dying tonight?" Or who do you think's going to die? Just to see what other people thought. I think Scott made a comment like, it's going to be lame if it just cuts and fades to black or something like that, and I agreed with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I agreed with Scott. Like, I think it would be lame if it just faded to black and we didn't get some kind of resolution as far as And that's probably my one sticking point. I liked the whole episode through and through. There's a little flaws there. I would have liked to have seen more of this other Survivor group, but it's just a little teaser for what's to come. I enjoyed the Carol Morgan storyline and how that kind of came to a head. So in general, I liked it. It's just the ending that left me a little miffed and whiffed. So I just felt like the ending just kind of stunk in a way.
All right.
That's my assessment. So
okay.
If I had to give it a grade, I'd still give it a B minus, let's say, or a B. So.
All right. We'll go with Mike second because Russ stole my Tron thunder. Mike, what did you think of the episode?
I liked it as I was watching it. The pacing felt great. Like, it felt great watching it. Like, you're building a suspense. You know you're going to see Negan. You know you're going to get a big death at the end. But then they pull it away. They don't show it. They leave you hanging and left the sour taste in my mouth. And it, reflecting back on the episode, it totally ruined the whole episode now, saying 90 minutes, you wasted all this time driving around repetitively, building up the suspense to not show the final death, and wait like 6 months of like more of this Glenn BS that we had like at the end of the mid-season finale.
Oh, it was in the middle of the season. The whole Glenn thing took place in the middle of the beginning of season.
When they wasted all this episode, now we're going back to 6 months of this where, who cares? Try to figure out who got killed. And it'll probably be spoiled on the internet somehow by comic book people or people that look at the acting, who's going to be on the third,
right?
Or who has the contracts that Matt might know about.
We'll talk section at the end. All right, Russ, what did you think of the episode? Sorry, you had
I liked it. I thought, like Mike, I thought it had good build up to the end. At first, I didn't like that they showed who died, but after watching Talking Dead and thinking about it, I have a theory.
Okay.
And I think it makes sense to me, and I'll just throw it at you guys. In them talking on Talking Dead, I think everyone agrees that it's going to be a major character. They said that the death is going to be a major turning point for Walking Dead in how it goes in the future. So this death is like a very key death. So in hearing that, I think if they had revealed who it was, and I think it's going to be one of the big three that are the main characters, that what they did was...
We know who your third is. We know Daryl and Rick, but we don't know your third.
I think the third is Glenn. Okay. So Glenn, Rick, and Daryl. Okay. So I think say it's Daryl and they had showed it, I think all those fans that were Daryl fans are going to have 6 months to sit there and think about it and not come back to watch the show. Whereas now everyone has to come back that's a fan of Walking Dead because they want to see who it is. And once they find out, you're kind of already hooked because it's like, well, now we got to see how this plays out. Whereas sitting on it for 6 months knowing that Daryl's not going to be coming back or Rick's not coming back or Glenn's not coming back, I think you're going to lose fans, and they don't want that. So I think this is the way they keep the interest of everyone because everyone's going to be watching that first episode to find out who it was.
Okay. I'll say that I liked the episode. I liked it a lot. I had no problem, like I said earlier, with the roadblocks. I understand why they were doing it, why they were showing it that way. But you get to the end, and like Matt and Mike said, it just left you hanging. There's no reason at that point. I'm gonna disagree with Russ on that. I see what you're saying, Russ, but they're already losing viewers. They've lost viewers. I mean, after the Glenn thing, they couldn't make this mistake again. They couldn't. They couldn't. Go ahead, Mike.
Quick little note: they had a huge bump up for the finale. They went from 12.4 million for the second last episode to 14.2.
Really? So they couldn't pull off another Glenn storyline where they just go, okay, Glenn is trapped by zombies and he's under a dumpster. We'll tell you in 4 weeks what's going to happen. They could not do that again. People weren't going to. They said, okay, we're fine. They came back and people we even complained about it on the podcast, and we weren't the only ones.
Yeah.
You can't do this again. To me, like I said, cliffhangers. This day and age, I'm not going to mention this show, but I think we all watch it. There's a show that kills off leading characters all the time, kills off people you love, people you hate, and people still watch the show because the story keeps going.
Wait, the Married Man podcast?
Married Man podcast, yes, we killed off Warm Taffy. But no, I'm not saying every show has to be the same, but in this day and age, like you said, I think Mike said with the internet, or Matt said with the internet, you're going to find out probably who it was anyway. It's not like when Who Shot JR in Dallas, where we didn't have the internet back then. We didn't know. Nobody knew anything. Nobody knew who shot him.
Nobody got the acting call sheets and said, oh, hey, this person's not on, with this or this, or all of a sudden,
The technology wasn't there. You have to. To me, it made no sense. To me, the cliffhanger is, how are they going to get out of this group that obviously has broken them? You can see Rick in this final scene was a broken man. He was dripping, and he's emotional. He's dripping. He's like, I'm the leader, and I've led these guys to their death, and I have failed as a leader. How are they going to get out of this?
Yeah.
How are they get? This is, to me, that's the bigger cliffhanger. How they get? And to me, that would have been, just show us who they killed. I don't care if it's Rick, if it's Daryl, so be it. It's Daryl. If it's Glenn, so be it. If it's Rosita, and it's like, okay, really, it's just Rosita. But
whoa. Watch your words there.
I know, I get it. But if it's Abraham, to me, that's not the cliffhanger. The cliffhanger's, all right, how are they going to get out of this mess? They've survived everything else, but I don't know how you get out of this where you have this group that is so, they worship Negan, they'll do whatever he wants. He's breaking people left and right. He's it's like in Afghanistan where they have different tribes. Controlling it is just who's going to be successful. This is what's going on in the world today. Because my wife asks, goes, well, shouldn't they all work together? I go, yeah, in theory they should all work together to have a better life, but with no laws, you always have someone who wants power and wants
limited resources.
Yeah, limited resources, but they also want, someone always wants to be on top. To me, that would have been the cliffhanger, and I don't think you would have had nearly the complaints you have now. I just think it was. Again, I think it all goes back to the whole Glenn thing.
And an emotional resolution,
Yeah.
Story-wise, yes, we've seen Rick broken as a man. We've seen this group trapped. All of those things did come to fruition as far as a plot device. But then, I think there's this old thing about plays, right? If you bring a gun onto a stage in a play, at some point the gun has to fire. Right, like you don't enter into.
Abraham Lincoln knows that. Am I right?
Yeah, I believe you're right about that.
Too soon?
200 years later, not too soon.
Did you say Abraham or Andrew Lincoln?
Abraham.
Okay.
Well, Andrew Lincoln.
Because Andrew Lincoln, who plays Rick, he had some. Certain comments about the acting of the scene and this last day of shooting and how emotional it was. He was he didn't wake up on time because he was up late, and he was just kind of tossing and turning, which I think leads some fans to think, oh my god, is it Rick? Why is Andrew Lincoln not getting sleep in an emotional basket case? Is it Rick?
Or he's losing a close friend on the show.
Exactly. Right. Somebody that's been with him for a long time.
I thought Andrew Lincoln was excellent in this. I thought JD, what's it, Morgan, what's his name? Negan.
What?
Yeah, what? The actor plays
Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Right?
Jeffrey Dean Morgan. I thought once he got past the potty lines, the P lines, right. I thought he was excellent in it. He was creepy, but not over the top creepy where he was, where someone's overacting. I thought he was perfect as Negan.
He's got good writing for his dialogue. He's got good chemistry.
Yeah, I thought it was perfect, and again, to leave that hanging like that, I go, God, that was stupid. My first thought was, God, that was stupid. We didn't need that. Show us who they killed. Like I said, again, if they wouldn't have done it with Glenn, we might have said, oh, okay, yeah, all right, okay, I can wait. But to me, it's not even important who they killed. Again, I keep pointing the cliffhangers. How are they gonna get out of this mess? How do you survive something like? How do you only have like 30 people? How are you gonna beat this enormous group unless it's the Tron group has plenty of people? But
okay, so to kind of parse this with other cliffhanger episode seasons, because I've seen a lot of people making comments. There's a huge thread on the Jay and Jack Facebook group about people sounding off about this. A lot of fans that are upset about this, and people are making claims to like Dallas, Lost, But at least with those finales, and we can think back to Who Shot JR. Okay, yeah, we didn't know who shot him, but we know that he was shot.
Right.
Right. Like, and that's the thing, is that we know that someone was affected by these actions. Same with mild spoilers for Lost if you haven't seen it at this point, but the rattlesnake in the mailbox, or the snake in the mailbox scene. Snake in the mailbox. I always thought it was rattlesnake. I don't know why, but anyway, that emotional pivot point in that episode, it had an emotional punch because all of a sudden it flipped the script on the time frame.
Right.
And everybody was like, it wasn't just who's in the coffin, Right. And I'll even go one step further. The writers of Lost knew who was in the coffin.
Yes.
I do question, because the director has come out, Greg Nicotero, he doesn't know who was supposed to die. Or at least that's what they've said. And there seems to be conflicting reports as far as like they knew who was going to die and they didn't know who was going to die. We're going to find out, as Mike pointed out, as we talked about before the show. The spoilers are going to be out there at some point for who this person is, and you've lost all of the emotional punch that Lucille had. Simply put,
it's like going to the Glenn thing. We kept saying, I don't care anymore. I don't care if he's alive or dead. You lost it. And like I said, I hate to agree with CJ from our boards, but I find myself agreeing with him more and more often, which makes me kind of ill. But
shout out to CJ.
Yeah, when he said, he said right when I thought the same thing when I was after I go, like you just said, maybe they don't know. Maybe they're waiting to see what the fan, like Russ is saying. Well, if it's Daryl, people are gonna be upset. They won't come back and watch. Maybe they're kind of like sometimes politicians, instead of just doing the right thing, they go with what they think the people want. They go with. They're very heavy on the polls. Well, 56% want this, but 44%, instead of just, well, maybe the 56% are wrong. Maybe this is the right thing to do. So instead of looking at just telling your story, just telling the story the way you want to tell it. Like another show I talked about earlier that just goes, no, this guy's going, this girl's going, boom. And you're like, wait, what?
Are you talking about Merry Man Podcast again?
I am talking about Merry Man Podcast again. I just don't want to spoil anyone who hasn't seen the show or is not caught up. But it's a show where you go, oh my God. I mean, they did it right from season 1. I mean, they were just killing people left and
Dancing with Stars?
Dancing with the Stars, yes. They killed off Misha. Geraldo was killed off episode 1. But no, it's like they're waiting to see, okay, how many viewers will we lose if we do this? Again, you're the storyteller. Tell the story you want to tell. Don't worry about what the fans are going to. If you tell the story the proper way, they're going to watch. If you drag it out, a la Glenn, well, Negan just crushed someone's skull open, but we're not going to show you. To me, I thought it was a pretty good episode. There were some holes here or there, but I liked this whole season. I thought it was a pretty good season after the
second half.
The second half I thought was tight, except for the last week when we all criticized it. I thought it was a pretty stupid episode. But this episode, I was like, oh, this is good. This is good. This is good. And right at the end, I went, come on. I mean, not enough to go, I'm not going to come back and watch it. Because I know there's some people saying, I'm not watching this. I'm done. And some people might stick to their guns and not watch it. I'll come back and watch it. But I would have come back and watched it no matter what, whether they killed off Daryl, Glenn, Maggie, Rick, whoever it was, I would have come back and watched it.
It's almost like you have to podcast about it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't have to. I can stop any time, but I'm just saying. I just thought it was. I just said, come.
That's what they all say.
Yeah.
You can stop any time.
But I just thought it was just a stupid move to try and keep people coming back.
It reminds me of reality shows when it's like, come right back after the break, and we're gonna find out who Negan hit.
Yeah.
You know, it's like what?
And the winner, and it's we'll find out this commercial break, and then you have to stay. But they don't. Which is so stupid is most people aren't watching it live. They're DVR'd it, and they just fast forward through the stupid commercial, and they find out 30 seconds anyway.
Yeah, lucky are the people that are watching DVR Walking Dead and don't have to wait 6 months for this episode.
Yeah, it's just I just like you said, we will know before we come back, before the show comes back in October, who it is, without question. And so this has just been a whole waste. Of course, though, the internet blew up, Twitter blew up, Facebook blew up, so a case could be made. Hey, people are talking about The Walking Dead, so.
And our podcast blew up, right?
Our podcast blew up.
1 out of 4 of us agrees with this method, correct, Russ? You know, people are talking about it.
Yeah, they are.
So did we break your spirit, Russ?
Did we change your mind? Did we roadblock you enough to where you're a broken man now and you agree with us?
No, I still think that I kind of like the way they ended it. I think they are keeping. I think they're keeping their options open too.
Okay, so go ahead, Russ. I don't want to step on you.
Yeah,
I've already stepped on you enough.
I think there's still some play in the direction that they're going, and you know they don't have to make that. You know, I know they start filming earlier than what we watch it at. So, but I think they've given themselves some room to play here with how, you know, the direction that they want to go with the show. Because once you eliminate somebody, I mean, you're pretty much, you know, and I know everyone was, you know, bitching about the whole Glenn thing and all that, but like, I think after the second episode of still not seeing what happened to him, I think everyone kind of had come to the realization that, like, all right, Glenn's still alive, or else they would have said something about it. Where this is more clear cut that we know coming back next season, the first episode, they're going to have to show us who it is. So we're going to see from the get-go of who, like, there's no stringing this out.
We know the first episode, Baby Judas is going to bat to the head.
Oh man,
they're going brutal. They're not holding back.
That's rough.
Just to tag on with what Russ was said about keeping their options open. You know, there's several of these actors that are up for contract negotiations.
Right, so should we say spoiler alert from this point on?
Well, I just was prefacing this by saying...
We might as well throw it out there on the table because there's going to be all kinds of theories and stuff going on. We're not going to record for a while, so we might as well...
Should we say Patreon alert before spoiler alert? Do you want to tell a story about Patrons?
Okay, so Patreon, you can go to patreon.com/JayandJack and you can help us out. You can also go to jayandjack.com, and its whole thing says become a patron. It also will we have all our shows listed there on jayandjack.com. The whole enchilada feed that has all the podcasts on there. And at this time, we'd like to thank 3 special patrons: Tack from Tokyo, Eckhart Richter Gleffler, and Brad from Chicago. Thanks for doing what you do. So, this point on, will all be spoiler talk. Did Matt leave?
Well, he ran to his ATM because he wants to donate to Patreon right this instant.
Well, who doesn't? And also, you can go to Loot Crate and get plenty of stuff. I'm stalling until Matt comes back. LootCrate.com's Jay and Jack, and you can get for $20 a month. You get $45 worth of mystery stuff every month. So there you go. And Matt's back, and we're going to talk spoilers at this point.
So quick, Matt. So quick.
All I wanted. What? I just had to leave real quickly. I had to take a pee pant break.
I said you were going to ATM to donate to Patreon.
Patreon.com.
Oh yeah, I did that too. It was pretty quick. No, to just go back to what I was saying to Russ, though, you know, there's a lot of actors that, I think there's like a 5-season contract kind of thing. We can kind of exclude, I guess, the first season because it was a half season. I'm not sure how their contracts work, but I know that several of the actors are up for contract negotiations, including Carol. So Carol's fate is not sealed. She's been shot 3 times, right? Like there's no surefire thing that
shot twice, right? She's been shot 3 times.
Well, she had that thing on their side.
That's right. Yes, I forgot about that too. So
they could always write in the whole mystery bullet thing where it ricocheted off of different things, and she could end up being dead.
No, I think getting shot by bullets in a Walking Dead now is like getting shot by paintballs. You just like bounce back halfway through the episode.
Well, the Tron people have futuristic medicine, so they can save them.
The Tron people. Anyway, a lot of people are up for negotiation, so this gives AMC the leverage to say, yeah, we've got the baseball bat. Andrew Lincoln, you're expendable. We could do away with Rick.
Now, you think you could really get away with not having Rick?
No, I don't think they can get rid of Rick.
That's the one character they have to have.
Well, you guys watched Talking Dead, didn't you?
I did not watch it yet. I haven't recorded.
Matt and Jack did not.
In Talking Dead, the writer or the
Greg Nicotero.
Scott Gimple. Yeah, he did
Scott
say.
Gimple's the writer, yeah.
He did say that if you pay attention to the end, that there are several hints in there to tell people of who is and who isn't on the chopping block. So I watched the ending about 6 times, and there's a couple of hints that I took from it where I'm like, okay, it can't be this person, it can't be that person. So my 2 that I eliminated off the get-go was it can't be Carl and it can't be Rick, because there would have been no need for him saying that line, if anybody moves, take his eye out and feed it to his father, if he was killing one of them.
Right.
So that to me was a hint that it's probably not those 2.
Okay.
Then if you listen to it real slowly, the screaming, you do hear what sounds like to be Maggie doing the screaming, the loudest.
They killed Maggie's baby. That's it. We sealed it.
So, so if you kind of watch the end and you keep rewinding and watching it, rewinding and watching it, rewinding and watching it, there's certain things that you can pick out from it. So.
Okay, and I'm just going to contradict you by Scott Gimple's own quote from an article that was posted from uprocks.com. Somebody posted it to the Jay and Jack Facebook group today. And Scott Gimple says, yes, there are a few clues in the end there about who may not be killed, but basically to not go down that rabbit hole that you can't figure it out. So, take what you will of Scott Gimple and what he's said, because I think the cast, the crew, and the writer are talking 2 different things.
Right. So there was also a curious little interaction that happened on Talking Dead, where who's the guy who hosts it? What's his name again?
Chris Hardwick.
Yeah,
he was killed off.
He asked,
and the crowd cheered.
No, he asked Negan. He did ask him a question. He goes, how does it feel being on the show, knowing that you're coming on the show now, and you've got a major character exiting? And as he said that, Daryl nudged him, and then Daryl gave this look over to Gimple, which was a very interesting kind of reaction to that question when it wasn't even directed at Daryl.
But he's an actor.
Also, there was a question asked, like, of him. He's like, do you want to see Daryl in a shower? So that's how serious Talking Dead is about these questions.
Shower, that's from Dallas, right?
Oh, okay.
I don't know about that. They were talking about, like, the Glenn scene.
Well, I thought because Bobby Ewing was off the actor, Patrick Duffy was off the show for a year. He was killed off. and then the next year you see him in a shower. The whole year didn't happen.
Okay,
Dun,
so
dun,
this
dun.
is all going to be a shower dream between Glenn and Maggie. The
Right.
clue was when we saw them in a shower last episode. They're still
Right.
taking that shower.
They're still taking a shower because they've got plenty of water.
Okay, so slight spoilers for the comic book. If you know, I know this is out there, so many of you probably already know it. But if you don't, skip forward or just stop the podcast now. But in the comic book, Glenn is the one that gets beaten by the baseball bat and killed.
Oh, I'm done with this.
And we lost Mike as a stupid guy. We won't see him again for a while. And then the other thing that's slightly spoilery is that Norman Reedus, the actor that plays Daryl, appears to be in another TV show. So
wasn't it a reality
that's
show
gonna
about
be-
motorcycles or something like that?
I thought it was on AMC, right?
Yeah, so it's a regular TV show.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
right. Yeah.
So
It's-
did anybody get the feeling after watching it that maybe possibly it could be more than one person that he struck?
No, because he has a
No.
code.
The way
Yep.
The Walking Dead's stretching this out, they're not gonna kill two people. They're just gonna stick to one.
Only way I can see that happening is, again, if they somehow kill Carol simultaneously as they're killing someone else. But I like Carol too much. as
You
a
don't
character.
know. You don't know all that reaction if maybe he decided to take it to, two people or whatnot. Like I'm just saying.
Okay, here's the thing: if he kills, let's say he kills Glenn, right? And Maggie freaks out, and then someone shoots her. I could see there being like a reaction to the reaction, and that would be the only way that you get a 2-for-1.
Well, remember too, Maggie's already sick, and she needs medical help. So maybe she just dies from whatever she has.
She dies. She dies.
She dies. But I was thinking, Negan wants strong, people on his group. He wants people that can do his killing and do all that stuff. And so maybe he sees Daryl's injured. Maybe Daryl's injury is worse than we think. So Daryl's expendable. So he kills Daryl because Daryl's never going to be 100% again.
I think he has to kill somebody who's strong in the group for the group to realize that they don't have a choice but
Daryl is popular with the group.
I agree with Russ.
But he is popular with the group. He is a strong.
Right,
Yeah.
which means I think Negan is smart enough, and he's probably gotten enough intel from everyone that's been watching them to know who the players are in this group and who the followers are.
And Daryl's a player.
He is, and he would make logical sense of who you would kill, because you knock Daryl off, then it lets everybody know that this guy ain't fooling around. I mean, he means business.
Plus, who's been Rick's partner through most of this series? Daryl.
Right. Exactly.
Well, and until Michonne came.
Well,
into
Michonne's a different, but Daryl.
But he's been there. Yeah, he's been there since season 1. And,
Right. So,
Walking Dead had a chance to kill off Daryl last episode, and they wimped out, saying, "You'll be all right."
Maybe it was the sucker punch.
yeah.
It'll be somebody else.
Well, we find out why they didn't kill him off, because they had this whole plan.
They don't want to lose their big female audience.
His hair is really, really
I still think it's going to be one of those three: Daryl, Glenn.
I say it's good. I'm talked myself into being Daryl.
Abraham. He's big enough.
I don't think Abraham is a major player, and I don't think he sees him as a major player.
Plus, Abraham is a loyal soldier. He'll fall in line. Whatever Rick decides, Abraham will fall in line.
Abraham has a good.
Plus, you don't know what Eugene has told them from being captured either.
Well, there wasn't that much time.
Well, we don't know that.
Yeah,
we know that, we know that Walking Dead has a good way of making it like 2 days pass in the time, right?
Okay, well, there's no 2 days that have passed. It was night. And Maggie was still ill. I think we can narrow down who it's not by saying, like, it's not Rick, it's not Carl, and we have a couple B characters in there, like
Eugene.
Rosita.
Yeah.
Eugene,
Rosita, Sasha.
Aaron. Sasha.
Aaron.
I'm telling you, Judas.
Sasha?
Judas is getting baseball bat to the head.
Sasha was there.
Yeah, Sasha was in the hair. And then Aaron, which someone on the Facebook group also posted a photo that was posted sometime, or it was on Instagram, and it was posted sometime around the time of the filming of this. And there's a sculpture kind of in the back of someone that had the looks of Aaron. And I agree with Scott, who commented on the photo. If it's Aaron, it's kind of like a what? Like it wouldn't have as much emotional impact if we come back and it's just Aaron.
He's not a major character.
It'd be like killing off Denise like a couple episodes ago.
Right. Also, if it's Aaron, I'm gonna say lazy writing because Aaron along was so he could be the one that die.
Right.
Yeah. He owed Maggie, so he had to come along. And we haven't seen Aaron in 3-4 weeks.
Right. Yeah, and we haven't had an Aaron episode. I mean, this was more of an Abraham, like I said. You know, he's ready to make babies and settle down.
He had reconciliation with Eugene. Like they finally.
Yeah, no reconciliation with Rosita, but you know, hey, that's just how he rolls. So you know, again, back to Abraham, Daryl, Glenn, and then Michonne. Like those are pretty much the four that I think would pack an emotional wallop if it's Michonne. That's a huge kind of loss for Rick.
Right.
But I do think that it's an actor that
she's a fan favorite too.
She is a fan favorite as well. So that would definitely, that would be a surpriser as well. So clearly we're not going to find out for another couple weeks.
I don't think Negan is the type that would take out a woman to show the group.
But he's killed kids, though.
But to put
we've heard that he's killed. That he's
right.
Yeah. From the Hilltop group, we heard that he killed like some 13-year-old kid or whatever, which immediately made me think of Carl. But I know that Rick and Carl seem to be the most immune, of those clues. But yes, perhaps Daryl, perhaps Glenn. Perhaps Abraham. I think those are all strong. Abraham is still, he's like on the cusp of being like a B to an A list kind of character, but
he's really not big enough, but that's what The Walking Dead does.
That's true. And again, he had the emotional punch of saying like, yeah, I want to make babies, but I don't know. Clearly we're not going to find out, like I said, in a couple weeks.
But Abraham was willing to die.
And that's true.
To me, that's like, okay, you're killing someone who's willing to die. It should be somebody that was sitting there shaking, like, oh, don't let it be me. It should be someone like maybe
someone that's only signed through season 6.
Exactly.
Who would that be, Matt? Only has a contract through season 6.
I really don't know.
It's Daryl.
I mean, except for
it's Daryl or Glenn. Anybody else?
Yeah.
I think, like I said, if it's Aaron, come on, Eugene.
One of the two you name has only a 1-year contract through season 6.
Who's that? Do you know?
Glenn.
Clearly, I think Mike knows. Glenn. Okay.
He has what now?
A 1-year contract.
Through season 6.
Through season 6. Okay. Yeah, I mean, again, that's too.
Rob Sessioneer's podcast or the other Walking Dead podcast.
If I see him in the off season shaving that thick mustache off, then we know it's Glenn, because he'll never have time to grow that back before the season starts.
Apparently, he's going to be on some Netflix Voltron show.
Is he?
So, yeah, but that's voice acting, so it's not like he's actually physically there. So he could still do both. But
mustache
we really don't know.
He's always welcome on this show.
Oh, he can, yeah.
Again, I think we'll find out. I think we'll find out soon enough, and again, it'll lack the emotional punch because we didn't see it happen on screen.
You
So,
saw it on the internet.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
they'll probably start off where that scene starts, and they'll show us who it was. But
yeah.
and then
Now one other thing that
you have another problem too. If it's a main character, now another reason they didn't show it because it's a brutal attack. You're hitting someone
Yeah.
with a bat. It's going to be messy. Do you want to see a Daryl or a Glenn all smashed up like that? Or do we?
The Walking Dead's a big fan of time hopping, like 3 months or 4 months ahead of time.
Yeah, that's true.
So what if they show up next time?
I don't see the. They can't time hop this. They have to, like, I mean, even if they show the end of this sequence of everybody looking at the body with no head and it's all bloodied on the pavement like those photographs that we saw. Okay, so be it. You know.
Best
but going back to.
Go ahead.
Oh, I just was going to say that, you know, the other thing that I'd seen kind of floating around the internet post this episode is that the DVD, you know, version or whatever, you know, the version that'll be released will have a bunch of F-bombs, you know, with Negan saying F-bombs, which, by the way, you know, if that's the case, like, meh? Because I'm kind of like, well, I'm not going to tune in for that. Like, I mean, if you told me on the DVD I'm going to see who he killed, sure. You know, I'm going to go out and rent that. I'm going to watch it. You know, I'm going to find it. But to just, you know, so I can see the cussing, it's like, you know, I pay for the iTunes subscription. You could put it on the iTunes episode. What does it matter? It's not broadcasting. You know, it's just kind of after the fact.
I'm not against swearing and stuff like that. One of my favorite shows is Deadwood, but that was part of the show. It was the language.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need the language as long as the storytelling is done right. I mean,
tune into the Blu-ray version of our podcast. Get everything.
F this, F that, F this, that. But no, we'll probably see. Like I said, if they do show it, they come back, and if it is like, hopefully it's not a time hop thing. But say it's Glenn, and they just show his body, but they don't show his head laying there. So they won't show who. If it's a major character, they're not going to show them smashed up.
Yeah, I agree.
Because it probably won't be the actor anyway. It'll be some stuntman that they put him in his shirt and pour some blood on him, and it'll be all good. But that's all I got. So I guess we'll wait till October to find out. Now, if we find out before that, do we want to come back and tell people?
I guess we could talk about it, you know, if we find out and we want to kind of touch base. Why not? So,
all right.
Even I wouldn't be opposed to that, since we'll probably come back before October and we'll be talking sports talk soon enough.
One last time, Jack. What's the website I should go to check out?
LootCrate.com/JandJack.
How do you spell it again?
LOOTCRATE. Crate.com for all your geekiness and all your fun, and Patreon.com/JandJack. Go to JandJack.com for all your valuable information there.
And both sites sound amazing.
Yeah, they are. They're fantastic.
And I just want to give a shout out to all of our fans that have tuned in, downloaded, listened to our podcast through the season. We really appreciate your kind words and support. You know, everybody from Carrie to CJ and all of the others that tune in and listen to us and enjoy listening to us ramble on, because we do appreciate it, even though we don't hear from all of you all the time.
We do our best. All the fans out there that support John Clayton, thanks for putting up with us talking bad about him.
Also, a shout out to Chris Hardwick. Thank you for always listening and commenting on our podcast.
Thank you, Chris. Thanks for being you. We should challenge him to bowling team.
Big shout out to Jake Laffeder for always listening to the podcast.
He didn't watch the show.
That's why he loves the podcast, though.
But he downloads and listens. That's what matters. So,
see, Jay's gonna come back and he's gonna be like, "So the A team is on Walking Dead?"
Dun, 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 dun. Well, anyway, this has been a 2-hour podcast. 2-hour. Well, the episode was an hour.
Marathon.
Yeah, marathon. So, do we want to come back and talk sports after the NFL draft? Is that what we want? Oh, you know what? I probably can't do it because I'm going to be out of town. So, forget it.
Oh. Well, forget you then.
Perfect.
I might. Well, actually, I'm not leaving till Well, I'll be in contact with you guys.
But tune in to the live 24-hour podcast, or how many hours you guys doing it this year?
It's 12 hours.
12 hours.
Yeah.
There might be a special appearance by maybe Russ.
No, we're not doing it at the rink.
Oh.
No, not doing
Okay.
We're doing it at Jane Colleen's house.
Oh. Okay.
The internet sucks at the rink, so it just doesn't work. But
Okay.
I'll talk to the schedule maker, see if I can get 3 stupid guys on there for we talk sports.
By that time, we'll know. By that time, we'll know the spoilers. So.
We will tell you who died.
We could do a sports podcast for the hockey playoffs. That's a big one. Well, that's got Mike's got 2 teams in that race.
Problem is, Mike said he wanted a podcasting break, and the NHL playoffs take like 8 months. So I don't think Mike's going to podcast for 8 months.
I can make an exception for hockey.
Well, if you and Russ want to come back and talk about it, that's good because I don't know. Anyway, thanks, guys. Thanks for listening. We'll be back in October.
Hockey is one of the major sports. We are sports talk.
You just don't get the hint. We're trying to say goodbye, Russ.
Hasta luego and goodbye.
Arrivederci.
Great show, kids. 1 in a million.
See you next week.
Russ.
Hasta luego.
Adios, guys.
All right, bye.